Welcome to the Enva He Meant Company Music Podcast with your hosts KP and Ashton Thomas. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
What's happening, y'all?
Hey, everybody.
I'm Ashton.
And I'm KP.
And you are watching the Enva Company Music Podcast, the show made by music enthusiasts.
For music enthusiasts.
That's right. And we have yet another special guest with us in our midst. And I'm very excited about this one. You know, I've only known this brother for about 5 or 6 years, maybe even shorter than that, but definitely a humble guy, but a very talented drummer and musician.
Yes.
And we thank him for his time. He actually just got back from a West Coast run. So this morning or this afternoon. So when we appreciate him coming on.
Absolutely.
In this time frame. So I want y'all to give a warm and vehement welcome to the talented Mr. Anwar Marshall.
Thank you so much for coming.
Of course. My pleasure.
Yes, sir. All right. So we can start off with the beginning of your musical journey, growing up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is one of the world-class cities. Yes, one of the world-class cities for drummers. You know, a long history of great drummers that grew up in, were born and raised. Are you South Side or West Side?
I'm actually Northwest.
Or
so next to
Northwest Philly,
what they refer to as North Philly. Like I'm like right next door. So and
all right, North Philly, yes sir.
Yeah, normal sort of, you could say normal drummer story. Grew up in church. So both of my parents are gospel musicians. My mom was a minister of music, and I guess one of the things that made my upbringing unique is that my mother was a music teacher. She sang opera. She taught in a Philly public school system. She played the French horn. She's very diverse, you know what I mean? And same thing for my father. My father was a saxophonist and a keyboardist and, just did a little bit of everything, and he actually learned how to play bass to accompany the rest of us in church because we didn't have a bass player at the time. So he was one of those guys, like if it had notes on it, he could figure it out. So, and obviously the Philly scene at that period of time, we're talking about, I'm born in 1988. So it's a lot of amazing music coming out of the city from of course, before I was born, but I fortunately was able to witness, like my formative years were the neo soul era. So I got to see that stuff happen in front of my face, and I follow all those great drummers around, from Questlove, Lil John Roberts, rest in peace, Lil Darryl. I could keep going, but it's like, man, so many, like you said, so many legendary drummers that come out of that city. And I got to see all of them. I was an addict, I would follow everybody around, as much as I could. So
dope. So when did you actually started playing yourself? How were we?
So this Christmas it'll be 30 years. I was 7 years old.
Dope. Okay.
So
Check that out.
It feels crazy saying that, but yeah, it's been a long time.
Oh yeah, that's what's up, man. So your first drum set, well, it was probably what it had to been. Was it? Oh, I'll ask. Was it a professional grade or one of those kiddie drum kits?
Man, it was professional grade, but it was hand me down like a mug. Like everything was broken, but I didn't know that at the time. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Gotcha.
My mother being a music teacher, she I forget who gave her the line of that there was another kid stopped playing drums. They were like, all right, we don't need these anymore. And I'm the youngest of three boys, all very noisy household. So it's like, all right, let's add some more noise to the scenario. And
Yes, sir.
one Christmas, I saw the kid under the Christmas tree, and the rest is history. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
The
Oh
rest
yeah.
is history.
Yes, sir. So take us to high school. Like what was the high school scene during your time there?
You went to a performing arts school,
So
right?
yeah, I went to the same high school as Boys to Men, the Roots. Bilal went there for a stint, I believe. Music Soul Child, and I was actually 1 year under Jasmine Sullivan. Um,
That's
so
crazy.
this is a legendary. So it's called Kappa, a high school for creative and performing arts. And our music teacher was like he was a great trumpet player. But he just had a history of running the jazz band a certain way and the concert band a certain way. And that's how you get I forgot the main one. Christian McBride went there as well. So,
Yes.
so all these different great musicians, we really took his word on what we should be practicing, um, and how, just how to conduct ourselves as musicians. And at that time, I wasn't completely sure I was gonna play drum set professionally because I also studied like classical percussion. I studied with a guy named Don Liuzzi, who was he actually still lives, the principal symphonist in the Philly Orchestra. So I was going that route for a few years. But obviously, being African American, it's hard to get into those orchestras, especially since they're like lifetime appointments. It's like the Supreme Court or something like that. If you can get
Yeah.
in, you're there for the rest of your life. Um, and I still utilize all that information that I got, but you know, playing drum set and playing, the music that I play is a lot more fun for me. You know what I mean? So that was my high
Most
school
certainly.
experience. So I went to college right down the street from there, a school called University of the Arts. Um, and I kind of transitioned to number one playing, concentrating on drum set, and then concentrating on jazz. Um, the city of Philly is also known for, obviously, I just rattled off a bunch of great jazz musicians. Um, but so when I was at that school, I started playing professionally. Me and my mom had sort of had this deal, like she would pay for first year of college, and then it was on me for the rest of it. So my sophomore year, I had to start working. And I started playing with a bunch of great musicians in the Philly area, and sort of get my jazz ear and my touch for that style of music together. Um, and I kind of dedicated most of my time to studying that. And not just because that's what I was studying in school, but I was fortunate enough to play with a lot of great musicians in the area, um, including Mike Boone, great bassist from Philly, another great bassist named Lee Smith, who is the father of Christian McBride. And just a host of great older musicians that mentored me and a bunch of other great musicians in the area. And this was around the time, like maybe high school, the end of high school, but the beginning of college. That's when I initially met the great drummer Justin Faulkner too, who's been my you know
Yes.
he's been my brother for a long time. He's been playing with Branford Marsalis for 15 years or something.
Oh
He
yeah.
was like 17 when he started playing with him. And it's honor to get to know him at a young age. He's incredible since then. And it's been great to watch him blossom, you know. And now his younger brother too, Nasir, is playing with Joshua Redmond. So Philly is really like such a hotbed for, especially for drummers, but every other instrument too, but especially drum.
All right, and salute to the city of Philadelphia because a lot of musicians I know who grew up there, like actually moved back, and some are actually moving there, migrating there to further pursue their musical journey. Like my good friend Daniel Spearman, who
Oh,
went to Penn State,
whew.
but yeah, he's like him and his brother Michael. They're
Hmm.
back in the city doing their thing. So
Yeah. Both of them very, very talented.
yes, yes, oh yeah, shout out to both of them.
Oh, it's like you play keys too, right? And you sing. And when did you start doing that? Like playing other instruments outside of drums?
So because of mainly my mother, I I have been doing music since pretty much since I was born. Like I've been singing and playing piano, took piano lessons as soon as I was playing drums. So as soon as they saw that I had an interest in any of that stuff, they threw me into the deep water. Um, I remember, so I was about the first time this happened, I was about, I want to say 10, maybe a little younger. But my mom was a great choir director. Even if you couldn't read sheet music, she would give you the sheet music to at least look at. And I had a good sense of, of how all that stuff worked from a young age. So she would put me into the choir section. She would put me in the tenor section, the alto section, and make me read the parts. And because I had a good ear as well, I could kind of like get the other members of the choir together that might have been singing flat or sharp, you know. but,
That's
but yeah, I was
awesome.
doing that
That
since
is awesome.
since I can remember, and pretty much always played piano. I play a little bass too, um, but I always, it's all for the greater good of music, like like just trying to learn a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So it informs all of them inform each other, if you will. You know,
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
just always being a student. That is amazing. Well, speaking of that, so
indeed.
like, you have your own project that you have out, right?
Hmm.
Can you tell us
Yeah, for
about
sure.
that?
Cold.
Yes,
Yeah.
code.
So I've been producing for probably 10 years or so, like just as a passion, really. And then the pandemic happened and we all had time to dedicate more time to stuff we were passionate about. Um, Before that, bouncing back and forth between Philly and New York, I didn't have too much time to dedicate to like working on a project. And when the pandemic happened, it was like, all right, here's my moment, you know what I mean? So, and I had a lot of that material written,
Hmm.
and it was just kind of a matter of filling in the blanks of who I wanted to feature. And I had actually the title track, I had a friend of mine that I went to University of the Arts with, Jeanette Berry. And she also helped me like put the
Hmm.
project together and put it out. And you know, each of those tunes was sort of, I treat it as a collaboration between people I've been working with for a long time. Um, so I had Nicholas Payton on there. He's on the
Yes.
last track, Brother Malcolm's Message. Um, like I said, my friend Jeanette Berry. Who am I forgetting? Oh, a rapper named Us, who is on this. He's on a song called Remember 2020, because that was a very like pivotal year, in terms of the political landscape of the country. So he talks about that on that record. My homie Chemist, who I produced for, he's on a track on there, and I kind of treated it as like um, a way to showcase my production sound, and because I feel like people people have heard me play drums a lot, and a lot of people didn't know that I did more than that. So, um, oh, also on the first track, my homie Morgan Guerin, he's a great saxophonist, and he plays with Esperanza Spalding. So, um, yeah, and I'm working on the next thing it'll be like the full length version of what that project is. So, yeah, it's in the works.
Dope.
Wonderful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. in the works. So, any idea when?
I'm gonna say, I'm still working on getting it officially finished, but I'm gonna say by the middle of next year. That's the plan.
Word up. Oh
Mhm.
yeah. So speaking of the project, I got to tell you, man. So remember 2020. I mean, well, two tracks in particular. Remember 2020 and Dancing Forever. Those like since I first heard the project, those have been my two favorite tracks on the album. And then talking about obviously with 2020, the rapper and just the wordplay that he used and everything, like concerning COVID and police brutality,
Yeah.
protesting, the election. So
Hmm.
it's like, man, just how he tied in everything, and the wordplay is incredible. And then even the track, because like fusing jazz and hip hop, it kind of gave that '90s rough, rugged, and raw type
Yes,
feel for me,
indeed.
which I love that stuff. And then obviously, Dancing Forever, that took me to, gave me a Philly vibe, like Andre Harris and Vidal Davis, like something that they
Yep.
would produce
Those are my
for sure.
guys.
So I'm like, man, this is,
Yeah.
yeah, those two, oh yeah. And so those months, I'm like, man, like this is like I love the whole project, but those two had me in a chokehold for a long time. So salute to you for
That's
putting that
what's
out,
up.
man.
That's
Yes,
what's
that
up,
is
man.
awesome.
And I love that
Yes, sir.
you understood the references. Like that's production for
Mm-hmm.
me is also like it's like a lifelong homework project. Like, of course, you know how hip hop was constructed with all the different samples, and it's sort of like that whisper down the lane effect. Like this person had this record and they sampled it like this, and this other person had this record and they sampled it like that. And just how and of course, even before that in black music, you have of course the Quincy Joneses and etc. They have a certain way to put music together that's very unique and that's different from anybody else. And that's something that I'm a student of, and of course, action of playing with Marcus Miller for a bunch of years now. I talk to him
Mm-hmm.
every time I talk to him is about, okay, when you were in the studio with such and such, what were y'all thinking? Just to get that little, those nuggets of wisdom, for whatever I'm going to do later. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's
Word.
awesome. So, how did you start playing for Marcus Miller? How'd that
Yes.
come about?
So back to how I met Ashton. I met Ashton in Ohio. I was playing with the great organist Joey DeFrancesco for a few years. Also a Kappa alum. He went to that same high school. Um, and he unfortunately passed in 2022. And the only time I ever had to sub out for his gigs was, Marcus Miller called me to do a tour in the summer of 2022. And I remember calling Joey D on the phone, like, super nervous, like, I don't, I wasn't sure if he was going to be okay with me missing a couple gigs. And, he took a day to respond to me because he talked it over with his wife. And what he said was like, you know what, this is going to be something you're going to need to do for your future. And he was 100% right. Like that's who I've been playing with ever since then, ever since he passed. I'm not sure if it was like a premonition or whatever, but he was very adamant about like, I'm sad you're going to have to miss this chunk of the tour or whatever, but playing with Marcus is going to be something that's going to be beneficial to your career moving forward. And he was 100% right. Um, and so
Word.
this was a gig that I maybe the same year I saw Marcus at the Blue Note. And if you go on YouTube, there's some clips of him performing with Lettucey, with Lisa Fisher, and then he did a night with Mono Neon, Derek Hodge, and Victor Wooten, I believe. And I think I went to all those concerts. I was like, you know, just to be able, that's the one of the great things about living in New York is you can take the subway and go see your favorite musicians, like people you always wanted to see. And like when I teach, I encourage my students, like the best thing about living here is you can go see, you name it. They always have to come to New York. Um, and that was one of those concerts for me. He did a couple weeks at the Blue Note, and I was there almost every night. It felt like, and around that time he was kind of transitioning his band, and I heard from two different drummers like, I'm recommending you for this gig, and they happen to be two of my favorite drummers of all time. One being Marcus Gilmore from Queens, who's the
Yes.
grandson of the great Roy Haynes, and the other one being Robert Sput Seawright of God's Property and Ghost Note, etc. So I got to give a shout out to them for thinking I was a good fit for the band. And it's been 3 years already, and it's been great. We actually
Yes, sir.
before I was in San Francisco, we were in LA recording some stuff. So, it's been a dream. Like for black music, he's about as legit as you can get. You know what I mean? So it's been an honor.
Yeah.
It's been an honor. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, and then yeah, we can kind of reverse engineer this. So with your current gig of Marcus Miller, and then how you said how before that you were playing with Joey D. Francisco. How did you meet him, and
Mhm.
how did you get that gig?
So, um, let me see. That was like right after the world opened up after COVID. We played together for almost 2 years, and he always tries to employ Philly musicians, especially drummers. My big brother, Kyrie Shaheed, played for him for a little while. Another great drummer from Philly, and I grew up watching him play with my longtime mentor Byron Landon. They played together for since they were 17 years old. And then they how relationships work. They departed, came back together or whatever. But it was kind of time for him to start using some younger musicians, and he always had an ear to what was going on in Philly. And when I was in school at the University of the Arts, I was playing a jam session, and he came in and he sat in on piano, and he called it. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna play together. I don't know when, but we're gonna, I'm gonna hire you for something." And I was like, "All right, whatever." Sort of skeptical because, for whatever reason. But he ended up calling me like as soon as the world opened back up and, after the pandemic, and he had some tours going on. And I'm telling you, we're taking flights, and we're doing the COVID test like every, before we take off, when we land. It was very, touch and go at that point in time. But man, I'm really happy I got the opportunity to play with him. And actually, the very last gig we played together in Baltimore. Of course, we didn't know it was going to be the last gig, but they recorded that, and that's going to come out later this year. And I'm really looking forward to everybody being able to hear that, because we didn't get to do like a proper studio recording, but thankfully we had, thankfully we have that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that being out for the public to hear. You know what I mean?
Dope.
Yeah, that
Oh
is
yeah.
what's up. So it says too, you played for Robert like at one point, or like maybe spot gigs or something. How'd that go?
Yeah. So I've known Robert for a minute, but we're featured together with a couple of different tracks with a friend of mine named Lauren Solis. She's a great drummer. She's actually from Cleveland. Um, she's been living in
Yes, Lauren Talese. Yes.
Philly for, yeah, yeah, you're familiar. But she's lived in Philly for a long time, and she's collaborated a lot with Adam Blackstone, and that's how that collaboration happened. So that was on her last project, and I'm looking. I've hung out with Rob like maybe a million times since then, but we haven't really played since then. But I'm definitely looking for the next time that's a possibility. And man, same thing. Whenever he's at the Blue Note, I'm there like practically every night when he does his residency there, because you never know who's gonna pop up. It could be Dave Chappelle,
Yeah.
pick anybody. So I'm yeah, literally anybody. It could be anybody. And I love that he keeps it as diverse as he keeps it. Some stuff is more acoustic, some stuff is more the black radio vibe, but it's always a surprise. You know what I mean?
Rob
Yeah.
Tober, is that what it's
Rob
called?
Tober.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely on my bucket list to go see Rob specifically at the Blue Note.
Right,
Oh yeah.
specifically at the Blue Note, because I've seen him about 4, 5, 6 times, but I want to see him at the Blue Note. So yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
man, make sure you get some of course so I can get on your page stalking.
All right.
For sure. I got you.
So, I remember you telling me you actually did a track on Adam Blackstone's Legacy album. Was that
Yeah.
was that the track with Lauren on it, Lauren Talese?
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
yeah,
that's another
I
guy.
figured that.
Obviously,
Okay,
they're right across the bridge, but all the great musicians, like we were talking about the Spearman brothers, but so many great
yeah. Hmm.
musicians from Jersey, like Wayne Moore, Adam
Oh yeah.
Blackstone, the Tribbles, obviously. So we kind
Hmm.
of all share musicians. It's so close. It's literally we're across one bridge. So those all that whole school of musicians was especially in the age of choirs and that whole thing, midnight musicals. I'm sure y'all talked about that with Doobie, like
Uh-huh.
that is like that was a whole
Uh,
era of watching those people you know put together some of the most amazing music I've ever heard. Like um that part of the country is really a hotbed for that particular style, and it's still going on.
mhm.
Fortunately for all of us, it's still happening. But I gotta give a shout out to
Yes,
Jersey
sir.
too for all those amazing cats.
Oh, dope.
And
Most
yeah, and
certainly.
and
And
Adam
then
too. So Lauren, Talise, and Adam, they went to the same college as me. Obviously, I'm a couple years younger, but there was that connection there. I had been playing with Lauren since I was at the school, and it was crazy to see somebody that you share this connection with. We went to the same school, and Adam, at a certain point, he was just a bass player, and then he became Adam Blackstone. Like doing, music
Yeah.
directing everything. So, it's crazy to know somebody pre and post. Like, fortunately, because he's a good guy, he hasn't changed at all. But it's crazy to see the heights that he's been able to see. From the Super Bowl, literally every award show. It's inspiring. It's
Everything.
really inspiring. You know what I mean?
So now I want to talk about the first time I actually saw you play, which was with Jasmine Horn on
Oh
when
yeah,
that concert at Jazz at Lincoln Center was featured on Jazz Night in America. And from my understanding, what Jasmine said, it was the last gig before the shutdown at Jazz Night in America. But how
that's
did you
right.
get that gig? How did you get to meet her?
So I had been playing with jazz since I want to say about 2017 when I moved to New York. And you know, I think we were just fans of each other, and I want to say it might have been Ben Williams or somebody like that that kind of recommended me for the gig. I got to shout out Henry Connerway, who had been playing the gig before me, and also the great Jameson
Mm.
Ross, who's on the record that we were playing some of that music from at that time. And speaking of singing and playing, he's on a completely different level. Jameson is really inspiring. But
Yes.
so when I moved to New York, you know, as you both can imagine, it can be very scary financially speaking. Like everything's very expensive, especially being a full-time musician, which is why it took me a couple years to even convince myself to make the jump from Philadelphia to New York. And I was kind of doing it gradually and getting my name, in different rooms in New York, playing with, you know, playing at the time with Ray Angry at Producer Mondays. Um, great pianist who, you know, plays with the Roots, played with Yolanda Adams for years and years ago. Um,
Yes.
and so I was kind of splitting, as many other Philly musicians do, splitting between, sort of straight ahead jazz and neo soul, funk, etc. And, trying to get my name in certain rooms in New York. And by the time I moved, I kind of built my name up to a certain point. And I want to say the first place me and Jasmia ever performed was in either Mexico or somewhere in Central America. And it ended up being a few years that we were able to collaborate. And I'm on two different albums of hers that were Grammy nominated. And I'm just a fan still today. Like she's so incredible at what she does, not only as a vocalist, but also as an entrepreneur. She has her own record label. She's a mom. I don't know. I literally don't know how she does all of it, especially at the level of in which she does it. But she's really remarkable. Like she's really remarkable. And not to get too nerdy, but she's the type of vocalist that's like, don't play with me like you're playing with a vocalist. Play with me like you're playing with John Coltrane or whoever. She wants all the smoke.
Mm.
You know what I mean? She wants you to be like very active and very like sort of conversational. And I remember right after that gig, I went home to Philly to see some family, and it was a Sunday. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was a Sunday, and I've been getting text messages all week like, "Hey, just so you know, such and such a gig is canceled. Such and such a gig is canceled." Local, and this was all local stuff. I remember she texted me that Sunday and told me we had a whole tour that got canned because of COVID, and that's how I knew it was like, okay, this is serious business. You know what I mean? And then we were in the house for a few years after that, but I will never forget that day, getting that
Right.
text from her like, all right, your whole schedule is clear. You know what I mean? It was scary, you know what I mean? Especially not,
Sure.
whew, especially for,
Yeah.
not really knowing the severity of everything at the time and just getting, obviously all of us getting piecemeal information through the media and not knowing what to trust.
Right.
But I'm happy we all got past it. You know what I mean? A lot of folks did. You know.
Right. Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Right.
Oh yeah. So,
Absolutely.
and I was actually in North Carolina on a tour when like I
Wow.
remember we were all sitting in the hotel lobby and yeah they said that the world was shutting down. We saw it on the news. I'm like okay because we still had like 2 or 3 more dates. But we had to. I mean, we did one of them. Like we did one the day after, but there was really only what 5 or 6 people in the audience. I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
okay, the writing's on the wall with this.
Writing's on the wall.
But But yeah, but I know after that, probably even during that, yeah, you did the Jasmine Horn, the big band, her Noble Force, the Dear Love album, which is
Yeah.
one of my favorite,
Hmm.
which is my favorite Jasmine Horn album, man. So
Wow, man.
that's
Thank you.
dope. And she
Thank you.
talked about she talked about how she really had to put her money aside and like put her money up just to get that, because a lot of the labels, they weren't really, they didn't think a big band album would work at that time. But yeah,
Yeah,
salute
and
to Jasmine
they
Horn
just
for sticking it out and actually doing that.
exactly. They didn't, you know, this is no real surprise, but they didn't see the vision. She wrote all the horn parts herself. She wrote the lyrics herself. She wrote the songs herself. Like that's I don't think that had ever really been done, especially like a black woman all by herself. And then and I believe that was maybe her first one that she put out on her own record label. And that's like, who else is doing that? Like that's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
nuts, man.
nuts.
Uh, all right.
Well, you can talk about them Grammy nominations. What, you've been
Yes.
nominated 3 different times?
3 different times. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Twice with Warren Evans's big band. His big band called the Captain Black Big Band. I've been playing with them since maybe 2010, and once with Jasmia. So yeah, it's an honor. It's an honor. It's not something that was on my radar, but you know that's why collaborations are important. Those people bring you up to a level where you didn't necessarily think you could go. You know what I mean? So and I'm a huge fan of all those projects. It would each of them were like very community oriented projects. Especially the Captain Black Big Band. Orrin Evans he's been a mentor of mine since before 2010, like maybe 2008. Um, he's one of the lifeblood of musicians that come from the Philly area. And he was actually, again, back to Jersey. He's really from Trenton, but he grew up in Philly. And my first time meeting him was at a music school in sixth grade. And we're still collaborating and still working. So it's an honor to meet people like that are see something in you that you don't necessarily see. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So do you have your own band as well, right?
Yeah, I have my own band. I would say in the past year, I've
Yes, let's
been,
talk about it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So after my next project is out, which is gonna sort of mirror what I was doing on Cold, I plan to take my regular band in the studio, and that's more like acoustic jazz, but um, my version of it. So it's a little funky. You have to have that aspect in there. Um, but a little less produced than what you hear on Cold. Um, and, more upright bass and more acoustic piano stuff like that. But um,
Yes.
yeah, I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I finally feel like I have the tunes that I want to record for that. And I've been collaborating mostly with great saxophonist from Philly named Jaleel Shaw, who's another hero of mine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And the other rhythm section members, they fluctuate. But Victor Gould, great pianist, he's been involved for a long time. A bass player from DMV area named Eric Wheeler. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that too,
Mm-hmm.
because like that's another extension of what I hear. That's a part of my artistry as well. And I actually mostly work in that world more than anything else. It's like the local New York jazz scene. That's like how I that's how I can afford to live here. You know what I mean? Working in that world, sort of daily when I'm home, when I'm not touring with Marcus. So That's like, I won't say that's where I feel most comfortable because I prefer to keep my I prefer to keep it diverse. Like I don't like to do the same style of music every day. I like to keep it, if one day I'm playing with Marcus, the next day I like to be playing, in a tiny bar somewhere. Like that's just how I like to keep the balance.
With any guests, I'd like to do some fun stuff, which I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, so it's not mundane. So, we'll start off with your Mount Rushmore of drummers. We'll keep it simple. Start
Mm.
off with that.
Ooh. All right, I'm gonna start with this the two that I always pick. Um, a drummer who's from my neighborhood and who's legendary, played with Miles Davis and many other people for years, Philly Joe Jones. Um, the next
Oh,
one,
Philly Joe, yes.
yeah, the GOAT to me. Um, the next one, living legend from Baltimore, Dennis Chambers. Like those are my
Oh yeah.
if I could encapsulate my style, those those two give you a lot of information right there, like of what I'm sort of going for. Um, so I also gotta say, if I only have four, I'm also gonna say, hmm, Bernard Purdy, um, legendary drummer, played with Aretha Franklin for years, and many others. But
Steady.
he has his own groove. First of all, he has his own groove called the Purdy Shuffle. Um, let me
Yes.
see. If I have one more, then I'm gonna say, hmm, I'm gonna try to get another more modern guy in there, and I'm gonna say this is tough. Four is too short. I'm gonna say,
It is, yeah.
you know what? I'll put Sput in there. I'll put Sput in there. Yeah.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's either way, that's a dope Mount Rushmore, dope list. Then
Thank you.
then the
Yeah.
next thing is like I said, this is actually new. I've never asked another guest this, but I know with you being a recording artist yourself and actually having
Right.
everything that you've done, I want to know give me at least five of your favorite albums, and the drummers who have played on those albums. So let's
Mm,
do that.
all right. That's a great question. Um, I'm gonna say, let's see. Well, I'll stick a little bit to my Mount Rushmore list. I'm gonna say, um, working with the Miles Davis Quintet. That has Philly Joe on it. Um,
Okay.
the I want to say it's the P Funk Earth Tour, which Dennis is on that. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
so let's see. I'm gonna say James Gadson on "I Want You" by Marvin Gaye. That's a legendary album anyway. Um,
Yes.
yeah, can't beat it. That his pocket is incredible. Like, um, let me see. I'm gonna say that's about three. Um,
Mhm.
this one is for you, Ashton. Uh, Blue Hats by the Yellow Jackets, because Will
Yes,
Kennedy
Will
is the
Kennedy.
man.
Come on here. Yes.
um,
Come on here.
let me see. Hmm. How many is that? That's three.
No, that's
Um,
four. So at least one more.
at least one more. Actually, a hugely influential album for me as a kid was an album from artist named Tony Moore from Philly, called "Love Lifted Me," and Lil Jon
Come
is
on.
playing
Come
on
on
there.
here.
Yeah, yeah. So
Come on,
I'm
man.
talking about I'm
Come
9.
on, man.
I was listening to that joint every day.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
Yes, sir. And
yeah.
I remember it like yesterday, man. Like we went to this one. CD store out in the Heights here in Cleveland, and
Okay.
my dad picked up that album. Tony Moore, Jehovah's Chosen, Love Lifted Me. Man, that joint that had the Andre Harrison, Vidal Davis. They produced some of the stuff on that.
Yeah.
My boy Jeff Bradshaw playing trombone on that.
Shout
Again,
out to
Lil
Jeff.
John Roberts. Like,
Yeah. These are
man,
OGs, man.
Philly
This is
legends,
my
man.
family.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
My whole family's gonna appreciate that because we would be riding to conventions when my dad playing that album in the
That's
van.
what's
So
up.
yeah, that's definitely
Hmm.
that was a staple in our household growing up, man. So oh yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's cool, man.
Yes,
Got you
indeed.
turned up.
Right?
Yes,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
indeed.
It took me back.
I
So
see. I know
I
you. I
still
know
listen to
you,
that
bro.
album to this day.
I can hear it too. I can hear your influences when you play. Trust me.
Dope. All right. Cool, man. Yes, sir. Then and then you kind of alluded to this, but we'll get more in depth with this. Like you said with Philly Joe and Dennis Chambers being some people that you kind of take after and patting your playing after. So
Hmm.
we'll take a page out of R&B money, and instead of doing singer, we'll do drummers. So your Voltron of drummers. So it could be the speed and power of one guy, the technique of one
Mm.
guy, the feel of one, or if you could take anything from any drummer and make it the perfect drummer, who what would those attributes be, and who would they be from?
Hmm. So, I'm gonna say the left hand of Clyde Stubblefield, um,
Hmm.
the ride cymbal of Philly Joe Jones, uh, the sort of lyrical nature that Philly Joe plays, especially in his solos, the speed of Dennis Chambers, um, the sort of sensitivity of Will Kennedy, and the power of Brian Fraser Moore.
Hmm.
It's kind of
Another Philly
it's
legend.
crazy hybrid list, but
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. That's
please.
Okay, so I want to start doing this. What are you listening to right now?
Mm,
Like, what's on repeat for you?
a bunch of things. I'm gonna say, been doing a deep dive on Minnie Riperton, um, especially her first album. And so, the producer, Charles Stepney, he did, Earth, Wind and Fire. He did Rotary Connection, Minnie Riperton. Um, so anything that he had a hand in, I've been really super into that. Um, I've been into a lot of like 80s music, like The Barge. Um, just to see it like they're the way they produce in the 80s is like Luther, obviously. Um, um, yeah, so much stuff. Duke Ellington. I'm back in like Duke Ellington phase, like Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn. Um, I pretty much always listen to a lot of Marvin Gaye because that's my favorite male vocalist. Um,
Hold on. I'm about to
yeah,
freak out. That's
yeah,
my
that's.
favorite.
Oh, see, there we go.
My
There
favorite
we
male
go.
artist of all time. Hold on.
Yeah,
Like Ashton
can't
knows.
beat it.
Like, yo, I'm about to look. Cannot. He
Yeah,
is
like
incredible. Like, there. Okay.
I go
All
on
right.
stints where like I'll just listen to one of his albums. Actually, so when I was just recording in LA with Marcus, I'm glad they didn't tell me this beforehand because I was already dealing with nerves. But um, I believe the studio we were recording in was where Marvin recorded "Let's Get It On," which I'm glad they didn't tell me that before we started recording because I would have been a mess. Because like, come on, like you can't beat that. Like you can't beat that.
Oh man. See,
Classic.
I haven't come across anybody as like, yeah, like you and me. Like, we're going to have to get on the FaceTime or something and, like,
Yo,
listen to some albums together. I ain't had another fanatic
telling
since
you,
my mama. Like,
I'm a
my mama
nerd.
was a
I'm
huge
like a
Marvin
Marvin
Gaye
Gaye
fan.
nerd.
And me too. Oh,
Yeah,
my God. Okay. This was great. This is great.
Yes, sir.
yeah.
That is awesome.
Oh yeah.
All right. So with that, it's a wrap. A burrito without sour cream. You've been watching the Invehement Company Music Podcast, the show made by music enthusiasts.
For music enthusiasts.
That's right. That's right. Anwar, help us wave goodbye to everybody.
Thank you, guys. See
Peace,
you next
peace.
time.
See you next time. Much love,
like
y'all.